2 weeks after moving to Spain, I was 10 pounds lighter. I hadn't changed a single thing. I hadn't changed what I was eating. I hadn't started a new exercise workout. I hadn't done anything differently. Nobody told me that was going to happen. Nobody told me a lot of things about what life actually feels like once you are living in Spain. And that's what this video is. I'm Robyn. I moved from California to the Costa del Sol in Spain with my husband and 2 teenagers, tween at the time. And before I moved, I read everything I could find about what the experience was actually going to feel like. The guides covered the paperwork, the blogs covered weather, the videos covered the highlights, but nobody covered this. Here are 5 things about what moving to Spain actually feels like that I found nowhere else. Not in a relocation guide, not in a forum, not from anyone who had done it before. So stay with me. The weight wasn't fat, it was stress. Specifically, it was the weight of the American news cycle. In California, I was inundated with news. And definitely not because I sought it out, because it was just everywhere. My phone, conversations with neighbors that I'd run into as I was walking the dog. It's just the ambient noise of everyone around me being anxious about the same things at the same time. It was just the air you breathe. And after a while, you stop noticing it because it had been the baseline for so long. You already know what chronic stress feels like. You've probably had stretches where it just sits on you. It's a low grade. It's just constant. It's always there. Like a sound in another room that you can't quite hear, but you can't quite stop hearing. And that was my norm. I didn't call it stress. I didn't even realize it was there. That was just like what you feel at all times. 2 weeks into moving into Spain, that sound was gone. And I was constantly being asked where I moved from and why. And I would always say, because I feel so light right now, I feel like I could float away. It was that evident. Not because Spain doesn't have its problems, not because I was on vacation, because the particular noise of American political life, the hourly updates, the outrage cycle and ambient anxiety of an entire country living inside the same news feed just simply isn't part of daily life here. I can absorb it from a distance, the way you observe weather in a city you're visiting. Interesting, not threatening, not mine. So 10 pounds in 2 weeks. That's how it actually physically felt. I know how that sounds, but every person I have spoken to who has made this move says the same thing. This weight has just lifted off them. So that physical lightness that comes before anything else, before you find a routine, before you feel settled, before any of the practical things start to click into place. The weight you didn't know you were carrying, you put it down the moment you leave America. That's something that just nobody puts in a relocation guide. I looked. The second thing that nobody told me, and I had no idea, I didn't realize it until my son and I went to the local supermarket. Completely ordinary shopping. We bought some tomatoes, blueberries. We just bought the basics to get through the week. When we got home, we tasted them, the blueberries, the strawberries, tomatoes, and we both looked at each other. I had been buying organic produce in California for years, paying significantly more every single week, specifically for that organic label because I cared about what my family was eating. And I believed the label actually meant something. And I have a history as being a registered dietitian, so I'm a nut job with reading labels. It never, not once, tasted like what I was tasting in the kitchen in Spain. That difference is not subtle. And it definitely wasn't in my head because when I had friends come to visit, they all give that same look like, oh my gosh, it's the difference between a photograph of food and actual food. Just so much flavor. So here's why. The food supply in Spain just operates under restrictions that simply do not exist in the United States. So chemical additives, they are completely legal in the US. We all know this. It was Roundup in food, and they are banned here. The supply chain is shorter, the produce travels less, the standards for what goes into the food just are completely different at every single level. And the result is in the food itself. It's not in the label. It's not in the marketing. It's not in the claim. It's not in a premium price. There's just so much flavor. It's so good. The actual taste. So I walk along the Mediterranean most days of the week. It's within walking distance of my home. And on the way back, I can stop at the market, and the produce, the fish, the meat, the poultry, the quality of what I eat every single day is better than anything I was buying back in California, where we supply the whole country. And it's not slightly better, it's categorically better. I did not expect food to be one of the first things that made me feel like I absolutely made the right decision. I'm also adding years to my kids' lives because they're not taking in all these chemicals. But it definitely helped me to know I made the right decision within days. Nobody puts that in the relocation guides. They talk about the weather, they talk about the architecture, they talk about the pace of life. Yes, it's slower, but nobody talks about the tomatoes. Okay, so now I want to tell you what ordinary life actually looks like here, because most content about living in Spain shows you the highlights, the sunsets, the festivals, the moments that photograph very well. I'm going to tell you about a typical, on the weekday, I wake up, I make coffee, and I get to walk the Mediterranean Sea. Not a drive to the ocean, not a planned excursion, just a walk to take my dog out. Yes, the sea is within distance of walking out my front. But that walk, that completely ordinary, unremote, available to me on any day of the week, is part of daily life now. There is nothing remotely comparable to that in California. In California, I was managing. I was managing the commute, I was managing the schedule, I was managing the cost, managing the noise. And here I'm just living. So the difference between managing a life and living one is something you feel in your body before you can articulate it. Here's what's interesting. That walk, it's not a reward. It's not something I earned. It's just what I can do on a Tuesday. It's what it looks like now. If this is resonating with you, I put together the Spain Clarity Guide. It's in the description, and it's a framework I built for thinking through whether this kind of move actually makes sense for your specific life. It's free. It's not how to move, it's whether to. So links in the description. So keep watching. Okay, the third thing, the one that surprised me the most. I've built some of the most genuine friendships of my adult life here. Faster than I built any friendship in California. And I've built friendships in California over a decade. And you always hear, right, that people say you can't make real friends when you're older. That window closes. That whatever connections you have where you are now are the ones you're going to have. That's all just a myth. And I have specific evidence for you. When your children are in the same international school, every single parent in that building has made the same intentional choice you did. They moved their family across the world or from a different country into an unfamiliar system in a foreign country on purpose. Before you have had a single conversation, you already have something fundamental in common. Not proximity, it's the actual decision. Shared deliberate choice is the fastest foundation for real friendships I have ever encountered. A few weeks after moving here, a couple ladies that I'd just known for literally a few weeks offered to help me move some new boxes that got shipped in. That was crazy to me. I was not prepared for how quickly it happened, but so thankful that it did. It definitely felt genuine from the beginning. And it also made every day feel so much lighter as well. I just want to tell you that I'm telling you direct personal experience that in the right environment, you can make the best friends of your life. Number 5, you will definitely hear it's not possible and no worries in the exact same sense. Like in California, those phrases have never even been in the same room together. Here, they're basically married. And somehow it just works. So now the most important thing that I'm going to tell you in this video, the thing that is completely absent from every piece of relocation content I found before I moved. I didn't feel settled till about 4 months into my move. Suggestions and guides are kind of all over the place. Maybe it's suggested you get the paperwork sorted, you find your routine, you give yourself some grace, you'll be fine. And that's just not what happened with me. I just think the gap between the expectation and reality is exactly why people in month 2 convince themselves that they made a mistake. when they didn't. They're just in month 2. So I want to just tell you what the months actually look like. Month 1, everything is logistics. You are solving problems constantly you are using Google Translate and charades all the time. Where is this? How does that work? How do I open a bank account? Where are the kids supposed to be? You're completely in execution mode and you don't have the bandwidth to fill anything yet. Month 1 is crazy. Month 2, a lot of the logistics are solved and you notice for the first time that you don't have a routine yet. The novelty is not worn off, but the belonging hasn't arrived at either. That's a pretty hard month because in this month, a lot of people go home. And it's not because they made a mistake, it's just because they haven't let themselves try and settle and take it all in. Month 3, you start to recognize people, you remember names. The woman at the market knows you. You go to paddle and they actually remember your name. The school parents whose names you didn't know, now you know them. The cafe where they start to remember your order when you walk in. The shapes of your weeks just start to form. And it starts to feel less like you're visiting and more like you actually live here. And then in month 4, you wake up one morning and it just feels like this is yours. And nothing dramatic happens, but you just feel settled. You feel enough small, ordinary things have accumulated that your nervous system finally recognized it as nobody told me that timeline, so I'm just telling you now. Because if you are in month 2 and you are sitting with the thought that you made a mistake, no, just give yourself a little more time. You probably didn't. And I will tell you all, you're gonna have a breakdown. I definitely had a cry moment, or 2, and you just have to expect that. But stay. So if you're researching this move and wondering whether you would actually be okay, let me tell you what okay looks like. It looks like waking up 10 pounds lighter only 2 weeks into taking the move here and not understanding why. It looks like standing in a Spanish kitchen, tasting a tomato and looking at your kid in shock and not meaning to say it. It looks like walking to the Mediterranean on a Tuesday morning because it is there and it is yours and there is nothing stopping you. It looks like having dinner with people you've known for 3 months who already feel like your friends you've had for years. It looks like not settling until month 4 and then feeling more settled than you have in many years. Most mornings I wake up genuinely glad I stopped waiting for a better moment. Not every morning, but most mornings. That distinction is the honest version. I'm not trying to sell you a perfect life. I'm just showing you what an honest one actually looks like when you make a decision based on clarity instead of fear. The Spain Clarity Guide is in this description. It's the thinking framework I built for women asking the same questions I was asking. It's not how you move, it's whether to. And whether you are the kind of person that this actually all works for. That's the question worth answering first. Link is in the description. Leave me a comment. What is the one thing about this move you most want someone to be honest with you about? I'd love to share my experience. Subscribe if you want the honest version. See you next week.